and thank you for joining us. Welcome to this afternoon session of the Project A Knowledge Conference. We are here with Isa, so I'm really excited to have her here with us to talk about this interesting initiative for inspiring women in tech. So just a little bit about Isa quickly. So Isa is a part of the Otto Group, so she joined the Otto Group in 2010. She's actually mostly responsible for digital communication there. And more recently, in 2018, she developed the idea of a digital camp for women. The goal of this digital camp is to get female colleagues excited about technology. And she will tell us a little bit about that and about her journey now. So just a quick thing about the session. So we will have some time in the end for some questions. So feel free to gather some questions you might have. And in the end, you'll have an opportunity to grab the microphone and ask the question, or ask it directly in the chat if you prefer. And later we can continue after the session ends into Wonder, which is a separate platform. I will give the link later where we can continue to have a chat if you want. And that's it. Without further ado, I would pass it on to Isa. So Isa, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Michael, and thank you very much for this kind introduction. As I told you before, it's a big honor for me to be part of that Project A Knowledge Conference family, because I used to be a visitor when the conference started back in 2018, and I was very, very impressed by the quality of the speeches, the speakers, the sessions, and now I can give a short speech, and that's a big honor for me. So thank you very, very much, Michael. So you introduced me perfectly, but you forgot one thing, and this is absolutely no problem because you couldn't know that around 20 years ago, I failed. I failed in my attempt to become an engineer. This used to be my biggest dream. And why is this relevant? Why is this relevant that I wanted to become an engineer so well? I will come back to this just in a few seconds. But I just want to say I want to do some self-promotion. As you can see in this picture, this is absolutely my favorite pose as a podcaster. I have a little tech podcast. It's called Mind the Tech, and it deals with e-crime. And yes, but enough self-promotion. As I told you before, I wanted to become an engineer back in the days when I just graduated from school, and I failed. I totally failed. There were different reasons why I failed, but it had to do with diversity. It had to do with the fact that I was the only one of 3 women among 70 or 80 men. And I used to be very, very shy at the time, and I didn't have enough self-esteem. And this failure, to be honest, always kept me somehow busy. And as a result, the empowerment of women in tech has always been a topic for me, really. It really has always been a topic for me over the years. And I'm quite sure that you too may have noticed that the tech industry may have a gender problem. In Europe, it is maybe not as strong as in the Silicon Valley or as in the US, but it can't be dismissed either. There are concrete figures and there are concrete studies that prove that, but I prefer to let the headlines speak for themselves. And so one day, back in 2018, I decided to do something about it. At least in my own organization, the Otto Group. And in my pocket, I carried a concept. I carried a concept for a women's tech diploma. And so I knocked on doors and I talked to many decision makers in my company, the Otto Group. Long story short, the diploma has not been implemented yet, but an event has been created, an event called the developHER. And when it say it has become a movement, I mean it, as you can see in this chart. And just in this moment, just right now, we are preparing the 4th event that will take place next week on Friday and Saturday. And that means that we will be, that we will have been in touch with, let me think, with over 600 women and a few men. Yeah. In the beginning, developHER entirely dealt with coding. It was a pure coding camp, but with the second edition, we turned it into a kind of workshop conference. And with every event, our portfolio, our session portfolio, grew a little bit more. And since we have to use the internet as a main platform this year, like you from Project A, so we were able to schedule almost 30 sessions, and this is an all-time record for us. Here you can see an extract of our session catalog. And as you can also see, the coding DNA is still is clearly visible. So you can see we offer sessions to JavaScript or SQL and Python. And the funny thing is that these sessions are usually the first to be booked out. So maybe you want to know how a developHER takes place. So I brought you some pictures. And traditionally, we start on a Friday evening. Then we will open the event with some short speeches and a larger keynote. And afterwards, we will be networking while having a little delicious meal. And on the next day, on Saturday, the sessions will take place. So what is our goal? What is our main goal? Our main goal is to help women to overcome fears and to build bridges, because most of our participants, they truly have concerns about technology because they don't have been raised with that mindset, with a mindset that says, as a woman, you can do a career in tech. And they come to us and they say, you know what? I want to understand what my colleagues are talking about the entire day. They don't understand. And this is really, really frustrating. I know what I'm talking about. And on the course of the years, we developed a claim. And it says that we want every woman to witness her very own Hello World moment. So who is the team behind developHER? Let me tell you a few words about us. We are around 12 women and 1 man. And together we compose the work stream Women in Tech within the other group, Female Business Network, Plan F. And the goal of this network, the goal of the community is to promote women's issues within the organization that some people rather prefer to ignore. But we know the pain points and we push them. And our very own playground, the playground of the team that is shown here on this picture, is the field Women in Tech. Yes, we have set ourselves very, very ambitious goals, such as helping women to start a career in tech, for example. And of course, we want to promote a diverse environment, a diverse digital environment in the company as well. And we also have a concrete idea of how we want to push forward the product developHER. And so currently we are in the middle of the trademark registration process. And in the near future, we also like to address schools. We want to start projects with schools. So I hope that I could spark your interest for the developHER. And at this point, I would like to inform you that there are still, sorry, I'm too quick. I want to inform you that there are still tickets available for the next edition that will take place on Friday in 1 week and the following Saturday. And for the first time, this goes out to the mothers, we will have sessions for girls between 11 and 17. And I would be very happy to welcome one or another of you over there. So if you like, you can ask me concrete questions now. So far, thank you very much for the attention, and I will stop the screening right now to see you.
Okay, Isa, thank you very much for the presentation. I would actually now, as you said, maybe let's open up for questions from the audience. So if anyone wants to ask a question, feel free to ask. Click ask to grab the mic, and I will allow it so you can speak. Otherwise, we can just take questions also from the chat as well.
Yeah.
So any questions already? Okay, so just one quick technical question. We're asked if we can share the link for the developHER sign up in the chat. So definitely we can do that. I will do that in a moment. But in the meantime, maybe I can already ask a question that's been asked before in the chat. So the question is, could you recommend studies that have to do with women in tech in Europe or Germany? Because there's a feeling that many studies about gender diversity in tech are very US focused.
Yes, I can. You may know the platform Honeypot that the business network Xing bought a few years ago. Honeypot is very, very good in this, in the analysis of the entire European women in tech market. And I can also recommend the studies of the Bitkom, who is also focused on that women in tech topic in Germany. Yes, Honeypot and Bitkom.
All right. Yeah, actually, I'm quite familiar with Honeypot, and they do some quite nice studies in that tech in general. So definitely worth a look.
It is also very frustrating when you study the Honeypot figures because they show that in Bulgaria, the women in tech the idea of women in tech is better than in Germany.
Really?
They have better figures. Women in tech are integrated, and it's a bit frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Actually, following up on that, I wonder. So, do you know what are actually key metrics in this sense? Like, what are metrics that you think are good that give you an indication of the state of women in tech, say in a current country or in a current city?
You mean who are the best practices?
No, I mean, like, for example, what are the actual statistical metrics that you would look into? Like, is it like, do you take amount of jobs, amount of leadership positions? It's a bit hard to measure, right?
Well, yeah, it is hard, but I can refer to my own organization, the Otto Group, and I know the figures for the field of IT and business intelligence and e-commerce, and that's really interesting because in BI and IT, the quota of women in tech is around 10 or maybe 12%, but in e-commerce it's 50% because you find the jobs on the interface in the e-commerce field. But it's way too slow. It's way too slow. The funny thing that in February I will change. I will start a new job, and I go to an IT firm where you can find 30% of women in tech. So it is possible. It is possible. Maybe they have the better programs. Maybe they have the better concepts, but it is possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as you said, I think there is definitely noticeable change, but I think everyone's frustrated that it's still very, very slow, right?
Yes, and the journey of developer has not always been, a nice journey, and it wasn't always fun because we had to overcome some issues and some real fuck ups, of course, because lip services will pave your way. When you start a project with the label Women in Tech in your company, you will witness a lot of lip services. A lot. But when it comes to action, support ends.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So basically a lot of people just signaling that they're supporting, but not wanting to do any sacrifice or any effort.
Yes, because you have to change. Yeah, because you have to change structures. You have to change processes. They have to give you money, budget, and time as separate resources. And yes, nobody wants to.
Yeah. Actually, another question coming from the audience. The question is, what are your best practices for designing tech workshops for first-time coders in a way that don't demotivate them, but make them that actually empowers them especially after only a few hours of learning to code? And one more comment here is that outside of HTML, it usually takes more than 4-hour workshop to even get your first kind of successful events. So what is your idea about that?
Yeah, of course. I think the secret sauce are small groups, very, very small groups, and coaches that are on an eye-to-eye level. And I think we are so successful, or the success of developHER basis on the atmosphere that we create. It's like a safe space. We create really a safe space, and the atmosphere is always very, very good. The women are laughing. I hope that this picture could show this a little bit. They have it's a cool atmosphere. And I think this is very, very important. Small groups, good atmosphere, kind of closed shop maybe. We started with that closed shop idea, women only, but we caught up in very, very painful diversity debates, and we opened for men, but they didn't come. They didn't show up. So it's a women only thing. And I think this is the secret sauce, yeah. And I forgot the second question, sorry.
No. It was just an addition to this question that from this person's experience, HTML maybe is quick to already feel success in, but once you go beyond that, it takes maybe a few hours at least to have the first successful or empowering feeling, of any kind of success.
We can only bring women to have their first hello world moment, and with HTML, for example, it's not, it's just this kind of, we do, the importance is we want to, sorry, I have to start again. We can't make pros out of these women, out of beginners. But we want women, first of all, we do this inspirational part. Yeah. And we want women to overcome, and then they can go along their own path, of course. But we have to do this very first, very difficult step. And this is the idea of developHER, to create, a start, your very own start in your journey.
Yes. I mean, of course, you can't make an expert out of anyone in these workshops.
We can't.
But what you can definitely do is just help them maybe pass this initial wall that a lot of people face when they come into this technical world.
Yeah, we had participants. They were so inspired that just the day after developHER, they registered for coding camps, for boot camps. Yeah. We have a boot camp in Hamburg that is very successful. It's called Neue Fische, for example, and they adapted this boot camp idea from the UK and the US, and we had participants who registered themselves in these boot camps and who are developers today.
Nice.
That's great.
That's a really nice success story, actually.
Yes, it is.
So one more question about also from the chat. So are you still looking for support from women with tech background? And if so, how could the support look like?
We are always looking for support, as a coach or as a keynote speaker, as a panel participant. You can share my email address. We need support. We need role model, especially role models. Okay,
great. That's great to hear. So definitely open invitation here to reach out and support to everyone who's listening. So we have actually around 1 minute left. So and I don't see any further questions at the moment. So I would just remind everyone that we can, after the session ends, we will be for a short time in the Wonder platform. I will share the link now. So if whoever wants to have further conversation that are a bit more casual and more direct, so you don't have to grab the mic or anything, join us there, and we can continue the discussion.